What if everything you trusted about money was a lie? Across history, a handful of economic frauds didn't just steal millions, or even billions. They destroyed lives, collapsed institutions, and shook entire nations. In this 5-part documentary series, we expose the 5 most shocking economic frauds of the century, how they were built, how they fooled the world, and how they finally collapsed. These are stories of power, greed, deception, and the warning signs most people ignored. Each episode dives deep into one fraud, uncovering the psychology, the manipulation, and the devastating consequences that followed. If you're new here, this is your regular reminder. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with others who want to understand how these financial disasters really happened. Most importantly, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode when it drops. Because the next fraud in this series might be closer to your life than you think. Let's begin. Volkswagen Dieselgate. Global. For decades, Volkswagen built its brand on trust. Reliable, efficient, environmentally responsible. Millions of drivers believed they were buying clean diesel cars, vehicles that promised strong performance with low emissions. But hidden deep inside the software of those cars was a secret line of code, a line of code designed to cheat emissions tests. This is the story of Volkswagen Dieselgate, a global deception that affected millions of vehicles, shattered public trust, and cost over $30 billion in fines, recalls, and settlements. The rise of clean diesel. In the early 2000s, Volkswagen made a bold strategic decision. It would dominate the global market with diesel vehicles, especially in Europe and the United States. Diesel engines offered better fuel efficiency, lower carbon dioxide emissions, strong performance. Volkswagen marketed its cars as environmentally friendly alternatives to gasoline engines. The slogan was simple: clean diesel. For consumers concerned about climate change, it was the perfect compromise. The engineering problem Volkswagen couldn't solve. At the core of Dieselgate was a simple but brutal engineering reality. Diesel engines are efficient, but they naturally produce nitrogen oxides, or NOx, gases that contribute to smog, acid rain, and respiratory disease. To meet strict emissions standards, manufacturers typically had 2 options: install expensive exhaust treatment systems, reduce engine performance and fuel efficiency. Volkswagen wanted neither. The company demanded high performance, low fuel consumption, low emissions, competitive pricing. Internally, engineers warned management that these goals were mutually incompatible. But failure was not an option. Volkswagen's corporate culture emphasized dominance, speed, and obedience. Deadlines mattered more than feasibility. When engineering reality clashed with corporate ambition, ambition won. The software that learned when to lie. Instead of fixing the engine, Volkswagen fixed the test. Engineers designed software, later called a defeat device, capable of recognizing when a vehicle was undergoing an emissions test. The software monitored steering wheel movement, vehicle speed patterns, engine operation profiles. If conditions matched a lab test, emissions controls were fully activated, exhaust treatment systems worked at maximum capacity. Once the car returned to real-world driving, controls were reduced or disabled, performance increased, emissions skyrocketed. This wasn't a malfunction, it was intentional deception written into code. Pollution in the real world. On the road, Volkswagen diesel vehicles emitted many times the legal limit of NOx. In some cases, emissions were up to 40 times higher than allowed. Drivers were unaware. Cities were affected. Air quality suffered. Each vehicle became a mobile source of pollution, operating legally on paper, illegally in reality. The deception multiplied with every mile driven. A global scheme, not a local mistake. This was not the work of a few rogue engineers. The defeat devices were installed in millions of vehicles, across multiple Volkswagen brands and in multiple countries. The strategy spanned years. Approval processes, documentation, and testing protocols all aligned to maintain the illusion. This required coordination, silence, and institutional acceptance. The fraud was systemic. How independent testing exposed the truth. Ironically, Dieselgate was uncovered not by regulators, but by researchers. A small independent research team conducted real-world driving tests, measuring emissions outside laboratory conditions. The results didn't match official data. When confronted, Volkswagen offered technical explanations, but avoided clarity. As pressure mounted, regulators demanded deeper investigations. The gap between lab results and reality became impossible to ignore. The confession that triggered a global crisis. In September 2015, Volkswagen admitted the truth. The software was designed to cheat emissions tests. The announcement triggered global investigations, market panic, public outrage. Volkswagen's stock plunged. Top executives resigned. Governments worldwide launched probes. Trust evaporated overnight. Financial, legal, and corporate fallout. The consequences were unprecedented. Volkswagen faced over $30 billion in fines, settlements, and recalls, criminal charges in multiple jurisdictions, massive vehicle buyback and repair programs. Several executives were charged, convicted, imprisoned. The company's reputation suffered lasting damage. Environmental and public health consequences. Dieselgate wasn't just corporate deception. It was environmental harm on a massive scale. Excess emissions contributed to poor air quality, increased respiratory illness, environmental degradation. Millions were exposed to pollutants they were told didn't exist. The scandal forced governments to reconsider how emissions were tested and regulated. Closing reflection. Volkswagen Dieselgate proved that deception doesn't always wear a disguise. Sometimes it's written in code. When technology is used to cheat instead of comply, the damage spreads silently, through cities, lungs, and trust. And once that trust is broken, this brings us to the end of our 5-part documentary series on the most shocking economic frauds of the century. Each story was different, but the patterns were the same. Unchecked power, blind trust, and warning signs that were ignored until it was too late. These weren't just financial crimes. They were lessons about human nature, about systems we rely on, and about the cost of silence. If this series gave you insight, perspective, or a new way of seeing the financial world, subscribe to the channel and share this series with others. The more people who understand these stories, the harder it becomes for history to repeat itself. This may be the final chapter of this series, but it's not the end of the conversation. More investigations, deeper stories, and hard truths are coming. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and never stop questioning where the money really goes. Thank you for watching.